Welcome to Community Cafe, where strangers become new friends. New friends become old friends, and old friends become family. Please join our table or take a seat at the counter. We're glad you came. Hi, you're listening to Society Bites Radio, and I am your host today, Katie O'Neill. We are with probably one of the most special guests that we could ever hope to have here in our studio today, and she is Marble Ann Wilkinson, if you can remember who that is. In A League of Their Own, Patti Pelton played Marble Ann, and she did a wonderful job. She has so much in her background for acting. She's been on CSI New York, been in Venice, the series, Mission Impossible. There are so many things that Patti has done in the last few years, but we're going to talk about something that's really special and close to her heart today. We'd like to welcome Patti Pelton.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Our
pleasure to be here.
We're thrilled to have you here.
Oh, thank you.
Now, this is not your first visit to Sarasota.
No.
So let's talk a little bit about how you got here and why you're here.
Well, we came here to, we were being honored along with Penny Marshall. Basically, Penny was being honored at the Ted Williams Home Run Hitters Museum. And we were honored to accompany Tracy Reiner, who came to celebrate her mom, and also celebrate the women from the All-American Girls Baseball League. So we were lucky enough to have a group of the women here who are like our aunts, who we love dearly. And we always, all of us want to support all the girls. Some of us can make it, some of us, go at different events. And we're always just trying to promote women's baseball, women's sports, encourage the men and the sons and the uncles and the whole family to really, if your daughter wants to play baseball, please let her play, and we're always here to try to promote that and promote girls and women. You can do anything. So it was a pleasure to be here.
In this day and age, empowering young girls is so important.
It is, yes.
For more years than we want to admit, women have been locked in the kitchen, barefoot, pregnant, and handling the household. But oddly enough, when wartime comes, the men go to war, but the women do everything the men did. It's no wonder we have so many smart and bright and intelligent women that never got a chance to do anything.
Oh, absolutely.
And softball is a way that they not only can go out and compete, but they learn how to express themselves socially. It's just an extremely empowering, fun way to become more whole.
Right. And, when I was little, I was 4 years old, I actually played baseball because my mom encouraged whatever I wanted to do, and I actually played baseball instead of softball. And then when I got into 8th grade, they handed me a softball. Actually, 6th grade. And so
difference in size
yes,
there.
And the women's league played baseball, and softball is an amazing sport in its own right. And I think women's baseball is a whole nother sport. And so both are awesome sports. And I would say, I mean, when the men came back, they told the league, well, good, thank you for your service. We're done now. And a lot of these women went back to their families and never spoke about the league. Nobody knew anything about it. And then until Penny Marshall came along and did this film, and now these women are having a second act. And some women who never told their sons, who would go out there and play baseball, but never really told their sons that they played in this league, or having their moment in the sun. And I know for me, I played girls hockey when I was little. And we didn't get to use a puck. I lived in Flint, Michigan, and my mom was like, go out there, play hockey. And we played hockey in the neighborhood. We'd play it with a puck. And then I would get to this little league that was very rare to have, and they made us use a rubber ring. We had to take a stick, stick it in a rubber ring, and throw it into the goalie's net. And we're like, we want to play with a puck. Oh no, the puck's too hard. You're little girls. You can't. And look how far we've come now. But that was an example of what in the neighborhood when I'm with the boys, I'm playing full on hockey with gear, you know. So it's interesting, but I think in all positive, I think that we're in a surge now that we've got to just keep pushing and be positive about. And
I think
we have a long way to go.
We're getting to the point where we realize, and so do our counterparts, we're not quite as fragile as you might think.
No, women are tough. These women played 3 games a day on buses, and were tough as nails. And they're not fragile. They're very strong women, and still to this day. I mean, I remember up to about 7 years ago, I showed up at an event. They were out there playing ball. I think one of them rolled down the hill. You know, I mean, and they're still touring and giving back and doing whatever. So these are not fragile women. These are tough women who raised families and did jobs that they had to do to help raise their families. And so, no, you know, women are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're pretty indestructible if you give us an opportunity to be.
Absolutely.
We've had to multitask our entire lives.
Absolutely.
So adding a baseball game to it was no big feat.
No.
It was just one more thing.
Exactly. You know.
Now, you were in the film. How long did it take for the film to develop from fruition, or from the beginning to fruition?
Well, it's interesting because David Anspaugh first had it. He did Hoosiers. I don't remember if you know that movie, which is a really wonderful basketball movie, and David was directing it, and that was the first round when it began, and I actually crashed the audition. I couldn't get an agent or anybody to send me out, so my friends were like, this is your movie. You've got to jump in the car with us. You played baseball since you were a little girl. You're an actress in Chicago. And so I jumped in the car with them and did that first round of auditions and actually got cast. And then the whole thing fell through. And then I think it was a year later, Penny picked it up and said she wanted to do it. And that was a whole nother round of trying to get back in there and audition. And they said they weren't going to see anybody from the first round. And Megan Cavanaugh, who played Marla Hooch, we were the two that they said, oh, no, we're not going to be seeing people again. We're like, we're getting this. And so we kept going to the batting cages and kept getting in there. I kept trying to audition. I kept sending my photos, and I kept saying, you know, I've got to be in this movie. And it took me another year to kind of get that, and I finally got in. But then that was a process, I think, like a 2-year process for Penny to take it on. And then we shot for 6 months. 6 months, which is unheard of, actually, for a film, once we started it, because we had baseball practices and, you know, the process of us just getting used to being on the field and being coached by Rod Dado and all these different ball players. And
you all made it look so easy.
Well, good, because it wasn't easy.
I got to tell you, as an older gal, when I saw this movie, it was like, oh man, I want to go play.
Well, good, because that's part of what you should have gotten out of it is I think that film included people in the audience. Like you're watching a movie, it was, you know, women were weeping. And guys, I have men come up to me all the time on sets and go, oh my gosh, I saw that the other night. I always cry, because it's got a universal theme to it.
Yes, it does.
You know? So I'm glad you like, but no, it wasn't easy. We did a lot of, there were some broken noses. There was heat, people passing out from the heat.
I don't doubt that, because I know that had to be hot out there.
Yeah, it was hot. And we were wearing, and then we were wearing skirts on top of it with wool socks. And we had a dirty uniform, we had a clean uniform. So if the weather changed, they'd say, okay, we're doing a different scene, you got to get on your dirty uniforms, because that's a scene where your uniform's already dirty. And we got to redo your hair because, you know,
it's too neat.
Or it's just, you know, because they went to glamour school, and so, you know, they always had to have our hair done and put our makeup on, and so, you know, and you have the heat and everything. But you know what? It was a fun hard. Mm-hmm. I don't want to make it sound like, oh boy, that was so hard. You know, it was a fun hard. You know,
I think that would be one of those experiences that you hold close to your heart for the rest of your life. You were with some pretty big name stars in this film.
Well, it really was for me, it was early on. I just got into Chicago. I'd done maybe a little bit of theater. Nobody knew me. And to walk on, I was working at Jenny Craig. I was a weight loss counselor at Jenny Craig, and they let me off to go to my auditions. I said, I got to get this moving. So all the girls covered me. And I remember the first day I walked on the set, and Tom Hanks came up to me. He's like, "Hi, I'm Tom Hanks." And I was like, yeah, you are. It's like, and all these, Madonna's there and everybody. And so, yeah, it was pretty intense for a 20-something-year-old to walk out. All of us were constantly like, I remember this funny thing where Ann Ramsey, I'm sitting next to her and she's looking up at Gina Davis, and she kept turning to me and she goes, "That's Gina Davis. It's Gina Davis. There's Gina Davis." We were like, because we couldn't believe this was happening, It was like a dream.
It's very surreal.
Yeah, super. It still is. And it's still surreal every time we get together, and we get together like we're sisters with all our different personalities, and we love seeing each other, and it's a reunion every time, and we go all over the place, and we sign, and we encourage women to play baseball or whatever sport they're playing, and play great, go out there, get them, you can do anything. And we do this as a group, and we try to honor Penny, we try to honor, the women, and I always call it the gift that keeps on giving. That's what it is.
Did you ever think it would be the magnitude that it is today?
No way. No. We didn't have it. I mean, we knew we were doing something special, and that we had to honor these women, and that was important to us. But I don't even think after the premiere we realized what was happening. And then all of a sudden it broke, and it was like, we've got legs. That's what they were saying, because when you go past a certain point of making money, they call it we got legs. And we couldn't believe it became, still today, it's not dated. Mm-mm. Nobody, little girls, 12-year-old, 10-year-old come up to us. They know the movie. They know the women, boys and girls, So it's, we are now probably the age that the women were when we were making the film. The ladies that are now,
right,
and we're still doing it. So
there was so much emotion throughout the entire movie. Mm-hmm. Between the interactions of the girls, Tom Hanks as an alcoholic, and God bless Penny for doing this, because it was just an amazing story that she told. Mm-hmm. In my lifetime, after I had seen the movie, I was very fortunate to be on a job at that time where I was knocking on doors, and oddly enough, I came across a Rockford Peach.
Oh, wow.
Right in Bradenton, Florida.
I believe it.
I
They're
would
all over.
never have guessed.
Yeah.
And it was the most exciting day of my life. It's like, I know who you are. I know who you are. It was so exciting. She signed a ball card for me for both of my grandsons, and it was an honor to meet someone who had lived through that. And I would never have known had it not been for that film.
Well, and think about, first of all, how amazing it is for her on the receiving end to have somebody actually see her, acknowledge her, and say, "Can I have your autograph?" And you're both experiencing that at the same time.
It was amazing.
And I have to say, think about Penny. At that time, that was 89, 90, when she decided to do this. This is not a film that anybody's going to tell you, this is going to make a lot of money, you should make this film. This is not what's happening. She's taking a risk. She's a woman director taking on a woman's film where most of the films weren't making money at that time. This was like one of the biggest all-time money makers for a woman's all-woman's feature. Mm-hmm. And here she is going, I'm going to do this because I believe in this, and this is what I want to do. So that's what she was up against, but she did it anyway, and it worked out,
What's amazing to me is the camaraderie that all of the cast seems to have with the original Rockford Peaches. And these women have got to be, all of them must be in awe that anybody would even think to do this for them. And it's, I would think it would be an amazing honor.
For the women? Well, yes, but it's an honor for us. We're a bunch of actresses that got lucky, and we're